Hey everyone, thanks for checking out my broadcast today. My name is Jonathan, and it is day 362 of my 3-year challenge to lose 300 pounds. I got to move my microphone here. Lost my audio, maybe. All right, back at it. Um, Thanks for checking out my broadcast. If this is your first time checking out one of my broadcasts, a little bit about me: 39 years old, I'm married, we have 4 children together, and I have been overweight my whole life. And last year, I knew I had really gotten to a point that I needed to do something. My weight was at the highest that it had ever been. And if I didn't do something, I was not very far away from having heart complications, diabetic issues, many things, many health issues were on the horizon for me. So I started this challenge with a few goals in mind. The biggest ones being that I wanted to commit to doing something for longer than I've ever committed to doing something. I have done diets for short periods of time, but I've never done a diet or stuck to anything for years. And that was my goal this time, that even if I lost the weight in a way that wasn't sustainable, I wanted to give myself time to figure out how to maintain that weight loss, or how to do, how to live at a healthy weight. And so that's why I challenged myself to do this for 3 years. The other big part of the challenge is that I needed to lose or I need to lose a lot of weight. And I've done diets in the past and I've lost 20 pounds, I've lost 50 pounds, I've even lost over 100 pounds in the past a couple times. And it's great to lose that weight, but if you can't sustain it, the first goal, then I slowly started slipping back into the old ways, and started putting the weight back on, and I never got down to what I would consider, or what most people would consider, a healthy weight. I've always set goals that were temporary goals, or that were kind of halfway there, almost kind of goals, get under 300 pounds. That's been such a goal of my life. And it's still a goal right now. I want to get under 300, but that's not my end goal. A lot of times in the past, I would hit 300 or get close to 300. In fact, I can remember 2 times. One time where I hit just under 300. That was the last day that diet kept going. And then the other one, I got to like 290, 285, and then that diet ended. So, um, and at that weight, I'm still very heavy. I'm still not healthy. I'm still not, I don't know what it is like to walk around at a healthy weight, which is just crazy to think about. But anyways, those are my two big goals. There's lots of other goals. I wanted to go live for accountability, lots of things like that. Carrie's checking in saying, hey, Carrie, I hope everything is going great at home for you guys today. If anybody has any non-scale victories they want to share, any questions, comments, you know, whatever, go ahead and comment, whether you're watching this live or not. You can comment. And while you're doing those things, make sure you also subscribe to the channel, click the like button on this video, turn on the bell icon so you get notified when I go live, which is usually around 4 p.m. on weekdays. All that fun stuff. Just thinking if I had any type of non-scale victory, and I can't think anything off the top of my head since yesterday. Pretty low-key day. Carrie was helping a friend with their kind of moving project. They had to get packed up, so Carrie was helping them with the packing yesterday evening. I ended up watching the kids most of the evening, and with this stupid, whatever, the season changing, it gets dark. What's it gonna My phone is, or it's on my watch. Sun sets at like 6:03. So I get home, and a half hour later it's pretty much getting dark outside, or it is dark outside. So we kind of just hung out in the house yesterday. Carrie made a soup that we had had in the past, and I don't know what it was called. Maybe pinto bean soup. That's going to be what I'm guessing we had, was pinto bean soup, because it had a lot of pinto beans in it. Um It was good. It was a soup that I think the first time Carrie made it, she really blended it up a lot, and it was one of the first of those type of soups that was really gritty that we just weren't used to it. And the squash was kind of like that we had the day before. Lots of soups this week: miso, squash, chili, mega veggie chili, and then the pinto bean soup. Um, but without it being mashed up or everything being kind of chopped up, it didn't mix very well. You ended up with spoonfuls of just pinto beans sometimes, or a bunch of onions, or so, like I ended up taking a fork and kind of mashing it. Worked out okay. It was still a good dinner. Just we got to find that happy medium between what we mash and not, and just getting a good consistency with that. But that was our dinner. I ended up on the way home yesterday just because we got talking about our snack situation. I ended up stopping and doing some grocery shopping myself. I don't generally go and do the grocery shopping, but I went through Aldi's, and it's just funny, just the pace at which I can walk up and down the aisles, and the comfortability, and just overall, um yeah, like I said, the just how I feel about myself in the store too. It's weird how, I guess, I didn't really think of it at the time, but I I carry myself differently, and I can get between spaces and around things different. I don't know. Just it's weird being out and about more, that, in being out in public, especially since kind of COVID's kept us from going into the stores a lot anyways. And then my weight also added to that, not wanting to go into the stores. But I ended up going to Aldi's. We got some more of the pico de gallo for our miso and avocado toast. Of course, I screwed up and didn't realize, like, I thought it was cool they had a bunch of this pico de gallo that we get, and they come in these little containers. I don't know the size of them, maybe 8-ounce containers, something like that, 10-ounce containers. That I was like, oh wow, they got a lot of these. And so I just grabbed 3 of them and didn't really look at them again until I got home, and realized that I bought one of the mango that we really like, and then 2 of the other ones that I got were just a pico, like a tomato pico de gallo. So they didn't have the addition of the mango, which was a little disappointing. But I don't think I'm gonna be the avocado and the miso and the tomato, all of that together really makes it taste good. Missing the mango isn't going to be too bad, I hope. If not, we'll just find another thing to do with that, or we'll get our own mangoes and we'll cut them up into real tiny little pieces and add it to it, because that's all it is. It's just pieces of mango. But so yeah, I got that, and then I actually went to Costco, bought we like to get their almond butter, and they have dehydrated mango that we get there that we like to snack on. It's been hit or miss on the whether it's good or not. It's hard, it's so weird. Like, you get one bag that's really good and one bag that isn't good at all. And sometimes I don't know if maybe it's that I'm just sick of it, that I don't like another bag, or it just how it, some of the pieces really get dry and some are moist, and it just depends on what your preference is. But ended up picking that up yesterday. Coming home, having dinner. I did pretty good with not snacking. I think I did have some mango late in the evening, just right before bed. But I really am trying to quit the snacking after 7 p.m. And I have a couple times, I know I thought about going for a snack and I didn't go for a snack. And those are I guess those are non-scale victories right there, is just being able to resist some of that temptation. And temptation is tough. Like, that is one of the things that I am noticing or feeling with the they talk, or I've heard people refer, like, if you have the food around, it's almost impossible to resist the temptation of the food. If it's in your cupboards, then you're going to end up eating it. And it really hasn't been a problem for me for the last year because there's nothing in our cupboards that is really bad for you kind of stuff. And um the diet that me and Carrie have been eating has been this whole food plant-based diet, and the kids we've been slowly transitioning them to a plant-based diet, but not quite to the whole food plant-based. We're trying to get them to try some more of these foods and, open their horizons. And they do enjoy some of them. But uh so up until recently, I've been so strict on my diet that I haven't had any temptation to uh eat anything that would be considered off of my diet. And now in the past month that I kind of went and had some of those you know, vegan plant-based options for foods, I've been less strict on myself about uh what I've allowed myself to eat over the past month. And so what the kids have been eating is still plant-based, and I'm still going to stick to eating a plant-based diet for as long as I I don't plan on switching it from plant-based diet. It's just that there are levels of plant-based diet that you can be you can be eating a vegan diet and it not be healthy. And I'm trying to avoid that. I'm trying to eat a healthy diet that is a vegan diet. And so our kids have these vegan chicken nuggets and these vegan corn dogs and vegan mac and cheese and all these kind of, there's still processed items, or there's processed parts of the foods that they eat. So but they eat them. That's kind of the flip of it. They got to eat something, and sometimes I guess we. But anyways, the whole point of it is that stuff's around, and like I tried the Impossible Chicken Nugget the other day, and that is not something that I ever would have just tried for the first 10 months of this. But since I kind of broke that kind of barrier with the diet, I allowed myself to try a single chicken nugget. And I don't feel guilty about it. I don't feel bad about it. But that, because I wanted to try that chicken nugget. But when the kids have that again, it's tough for me to say no. And that's where the temptation, and that's what I've been doing. That's like, they had French fries for dinner the other day. And I kind of almost half convinced myself to eat a French fry and then talked myself out of it because there's a lot of salt on the fries, and uh, we don't fry them, but it just wasn't, uh, it's not on my diet. It's not on my day-to-day diet. And I'm happy I was able to resist that temptation, but I know how tough it is. And I can't imagine, I'm so happy that Carrie's on board with this, and we've cleaned out our cupboards. There's nothing in our cupboards that, like I said, even if I ate the kids stuff, it's really not that bad for you kind of things. In in It's not that kind of bad things. And I say that, and I have to kind of I've been reading or listening through audiobook to a new uh a new book. And it is Whole by Dr. Campbell. And the book is, I really like the book. The I'm really hoping that they, like, the person who's reading the book, the I don't know if it's the combination of like my car hooked up to my phone playing through the speakers in my truck or whatever, but anytime the guy says an S, he like hits the top, like he just, and it hits my ear, like it's just like Sally sold seashells, like if somebody like, and there's a couple times where he has rapid like S and CS kind of, and it's a little bit distracting. So I'm hoping that like it's just part of the book that's that way and that maybe it gets fixed. But anyways, that's completely besides the point. Other than that, I enjoy the book. It's different because the book is it's so weird. Like different authors have their own kind of fingerprint, or their own kind of, you can tell like Dr. Greger's books, he has kind of a flow to him, and he always says things about putting it to the test, and he has just kind of his layout of how he does his book. And then I listened to that Rich Roll book that was the Finding Ultra, where that was written almost like it was like a novelist wrote it, or somebody who knows how to write a story, had a great story to it. And it was a story, so it was a different type of book. But this whole book by T. Colin Campbell, I can't help but like tell that it was written by somebody who does academic research. Like the way it's laid out, like the way he breaks down, all right, well, this is a 4-part book, and in part 1 we're going to talk about this, in part 2 we're going to talk about this, part 3 we're going to talk about that. And he says that at the beginning of the book, and then he gets to chapter 5 and he goes, okay, now we're getting into part 2, and in part 2 I'm going to explain how this, and this. And then so it's like he's reading the outline to you, and then he's giving you the information. And I like the format of it. I like the information that he's been giving so far. And the couple things, and I'm only like an hour into the book, so I can't say a whole lot about how it's going to kind of play out. But he seems to have a lot of disdain for the research, like the community that he was in. Like they didn't, he was he, I mean, whether he was ignored or he felt ignored, or they just didn't want to hear what he was saying, there was a lot of resistance to the results that his research was coming up with. So and you can feel that in the book. And so, but like some of the things he talks about are just wild. Like he talks about the study that it was a small study, and so like that's what it gets knocked for, is that it was a small study, but they had like 18 people, and I don't know all the facts, so this is all just estimate, but they had like these 18 people that in the previous couple years they had over 100 cardiac episodes between them. Like some of them had multiple episodes, some of them had, and the 18 people, they got to switch to a whole food plant-based diet. After they switched to that diet, they didn't have any more cardiac episodes, not one. Like, and it's just wild. Like that doesn't, like, that isn't being toted from the rooftops. Like, look at this. Like, all of these people don't have this issue because they eat a whole food plant-based diet. And the other that he seemed to do a lot of research with is with cancer, and how they found that the cancer promoting cells essentially shut off if you ate a 5% or less, or if you ate a low animal protein diet versus like a 20% animal protein diet. They went from not getting cancer at all to getting cancer. Like it seems crazy that these kind of research things exist, like, and these are just the outlier examples. And he talks about outliers and how that's what he studies, that's where he spends his time, or his study is on the outlier results. And that's how he found these things about the plant-based diet. But what got me even kind of talking about this whole was uh he talks about how there's it people are so narrow-minded, not so narrow-minded. I don't know how to best say this because I didn't think about it much ahead of time, but uh that we don't realize what we don't know, or we don't know what we don't know. And once we know, it's hard to not know it anymore. But he talks about like a fish, and he brings up a fish example a few times early in the book about if a fish is always in water its whole life, that's all it knows. And if it, until a fisherman comes along and hooks it, and pulls it out of the water, and it experiences a world where there is no water around it, then he doesn't necessarily even know that water exists, like, or the water is a thing, like it's just there, until you are taken out of it, and then you realize that, oh well, I needed all that to breathe, and like they just took it, you just take it for granted, I guess, and you just don't. um and this diet, it's really felt like it's done that to me, like I was just, and I felt like I knew so much, and I was, I'd done every diet, I've tried everything, I've watched videos, I've done all the research there could be to be done. And uh it wasn't until I was in the middle of the fast that I even considered this. And now I'm on the side of it going, gosh, I wish I could just get everybody to just try it for a month. Just put down the animal products, get rid of the dairy, rid of the dairy. So bad. It's just concentrated, concentrated, concentrated. Like it's not, it's just crazy. Like, and it's so bad for us. and and it's so tough to give up. It really, I mean, absolutely the toughest thing of all of the things. Like I never missed hamburger, I never missed getting chicken sandwiches, but the cheese on the macaroni and cheese, the yeah, like, and that's just, and that stuff's addictive. It's whatever. I mean, it's what it is. But yeah, just this book, I really like the approach he's taking. There's a lot of um it's just, and he's a research scientist. Like it's not anecdotal stuff. Like he's talking about how they're taking studies, and they take these samples and they're sending them to different universities all over the country, and having those universities do their own independent studies on this stuff, and they're all coming in with the same results. And then when, yeah, and but those results, we're just not hearing them. They're not letting them get that far. And it's just crazy, and but there are a lot of people that are switching, and there's way more people that are doing it now. And there's some videos on YouTube that I've been seeing recently where it's a lot about people who have been lifelong vegans, 30 plus year vegans, um and their experiences, and how they're not suffering, they're thriving, being 30-year vegans, and I just didn't understand that that existed. I've talked about it before, just that I didn't quite get that that was even a thing. And now I'm on the other side of it thinking, well, yeah, I mean, I feel better now than I ever felt. I don't have uh any issues with fatigue, or yeah, just chronic. Yeah, I don't have that chronic tiredness that I used to have. I mean, I mean, uh, oh, wild. Anyways, I really like the book. I'm looking forward to continuing reading it, and hopefully I can finish it in the next couple of weeks because I can get about a half hour to an hour listen to it, and it's not really long. I mean, this is also his second book. There was a book called, or there is a book called The China Study, which I haven't listened to. I picked this one up first, just because I figured it was most recent and probably have his most recent kind of philosophies or his most recent uh, research kind of on things. So I really like that. And real quick, I am gonna talk about. So I had somebody reach out to me on Reddit today, and like it was the reason why they reached out to me was exactly why I started this channel and why I wanted to do this. And it was not exactly, but it was a big part of why. And it's because I I thought fasting was going to be the answer for me. I thought that I was going to be able to piece together some extended fasts and go, do a 30-day or whatever I could do at the beginning and maybe push it for something, seeing other people that were doing crazy long water fasts and what the human body is capable, and really a lot of that, the length of how long you can water fast, especially on your own, is going to have to do with how big you were to start and a lot of factors. I wouldn't recommend doing an extended water fast at home for anybody. Even though I did it, I wouldn't, I would recommend water fasting and finding a period of time that is a decent period of time. If you do decide to do a 40-day water fast, you better make sure you can be, pretty lazy. You don't have to be very active, because once you start getting active, it really drains you. And but the reason why I started this channel was because I saw these people doing these water fasts and losing this weight, and then they disappear, or you don't hear from them again, or you don't, or they did the fast and they lost, whatever they lost, and then they gained 20 pounds back or 30 pounds back, and or they're gaining it all back, or they did, it didn't work for them. And I wanted to prove that fasting was going to be what worked for me. And I am proving that fasting is what worked for me, but it's worked in a different way. Fasting is what I needed to do to reset my life and to reset my diet. Uh, I feel like if you could do any type of mono diet, if you could fast for a day or something, or a short period of time. Um, a big thing is getting rid of the addictions to the caffeine and the sugar and dairy. There's an addiction to dairy. It exists. But uh it's getting your body through that kind of withdrawal period and that week, and just being confident that you can, you know, get get away from your old diet and start eating a new diet. And uh I absolutely wouldn't have believed when I went in that a whole food plant-based diet was the diet to do at the end. And that's been the biggest surprise out of all this. I think I talked about this, but um yeah, I it was so frustrating seeing all these people doing these fasts, and you can lose all this weight and then they just gain it all back. And some of what I am realizing is that a lot of the weight that they lose is weight that's just in your digestive system. A big chunk. I mean, I lost 20, I might have lost 30 pounds in the first week. Uh, and a big chunk of that was just the food that was in my digestive system. And then when I refed, I didn't add salt into my diet. So you don't retain as much water back either. There's water retention that you had. I mean, there was fluids all over my legs, as well, that, I'll kind of see some of that tomorrow. So anyways, it was kind of cool that somebody reached out. And like, one of the reasons why I had put the specific post that they had commented to me on was because like the fasting community, it's weird. Like it's all about keto, it's all about carnivore, and on like Reddit or like outside of here. I don't know. Like it's just so weird that like there's this place, this True North Clinic in California, that they've been doing medically supervised water fast for decades. And why aren't they the front page of every recommendation? Or like this is what they've been doing. They've been water fasting people between a couple days and 40 days for years. And like that was their special. That's what got me, was I felt like that was their specialty, was the fasting. Like that's what they started out to do, was to find out fasting could be. And it doesn't make sense that they would recommend a diet that would fail. And uh and it didn't fail me. I mean, I don't know the exact numbers, but I mean, just looking at the thing on the board here, if you can read it, the at the end of the day water fast, I was 429, and then 2 months later I was still 45. Or 2 months whole, yeah. So 2 months after that, uh I still lost another 40 pounds. So, and I didn't gain, I mean, and if you watch the videos, I think I weighed in like 10 days after the end of my fast. I didn't gain any weight 10 days later. And it's because I refed slow and I refed right. Uh, and with a whole food plant-based diet. And it's again, I'm a fish that's been pulled out of the water, and now I got thrown back in, and I'm trying to convince everybody that there's a whole world out there nobody knew about. That's how I feel sometimes about it, like wild. Just give it a shot. There's all kinds of resources out there. Just purge your cupboards of all of the crap temptations. Fill it with lots of big, bright colored foods. Figure out how to cook. Be willing to eat stuff that tastes like crap, because you know what? You'd have eaten the French fries. If you'd have ordered French fries from McDonald's and they came out stale, you still would have eaten the GD things, right? And so you can eat a bowl of vegetables that isn't your favorite thing the first time. And maybe by the third time, or maybe it takes a few times to figure out what recipe works for you, you'll find what works. But uh, I've eaten so many things that were just crap for me just because it was there and it had sugar, and it was gonna, give me that rush. So what did the person say that reached out to me? They just wanted to know, like, they reached out because they were like, I'm doing all this research and I'm finding all these people that are fasting and they're all gaining their weight back, and you didn't. So what did you do? And so I was like, well, I ate a whole food plant-based diet with no salt, oil, or sugar. And that's what I've been doing. And so that's what they reached out trying to figure out why I was able to maintain it and what I did different. And I said, well, check out my videos. I didn't say that in the Reddit post because they'd have pulled the whole post off the internet, because Reddit doesn't like that I even mention I exist, or these boards, whatever. Doesn't matter. Uh, I okay. So, anyways, I appreciate that they did reach out, and I hope that they find some help, or they, something that I say helps them some way. I don't know. I rambled enough for today. I am going to get out of here. I will be on tomorrow. Kind of planning on doing maybe a little flip book thing. I just looked through my phone and made an album from the past year. Just kind of go through and look at the different photos of my progress and the foods we've eaten and the things we've done. So probably go through that tomorrow, because Monday is my 1 year weigh-in. I'm pretty nervous about the weigh-in because I want to be down. I'd really like to be down to my lowest ever. If I could be back, lost all that weight that I gained from the surgery, that would be really cool. But really, the just being lower than 315 is the goal. And it's tough with the weekend in the middle of that. Like, it's gonna be really tough to get it done. So, anyways, I want to thank you guys for checking out my broadcast. Do all those YouTube things, subscribe, click on the bell icon, like the video, and say hello down below or something. Let me know you actually watched the video to the end. How does that sound? Say something funny. So anyways, guys, thanks again for checking out my broadcast. If you haven't started a diet yet, get started right now. There's no reason to wait. There's nothing coming up this weekend that's more important than your health. It's uh you know, you're gonna have to find a way to avoid these things in the future. And so just start now, start your diet now, get rid of the crap, switch to a better diet. Biggest thing, get rid of the crap. Do something, guys. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Looking forward to it. You know what? I hopefully is everybody still here? I didn't even see that Will asked if any celebrations for my 1 year. I don't know. Maybe maybe we'll have some brownie cake or something. But nothing planned as far as a celebration. Just another day in the life. Anyways, thanks guys. I'll talk.